Let's continue this conversation about European debt and the potential for a bigger fiscal crisis. We're joined this morning by George Magnus. He is the Senior Economic Advisor at UBS here in London. He's been a student of the changing Europe for decades and is writing a book about the European economy due out later this year. George is with me right here. George, let's just pick up on where Nouriel Roubini left off there. Do you share his view that we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg here, that this crisis, this fiscal crisis, these issues are going to, what's lying beneath the surface effectively is much more than just Greece and Portugal and Spain and Italy and perhaps Ireland? It's the UK. It's the U.S., and at some point, there's going to be a day of reckoning that causes a ship much bigger than what we've seen hit an iceberg and begin to go down. Well,
I didn't hear Nouriel's comments actually in any detail, but certainly I would agree that for Europe, it's more than just, it's important for Greek citizens and for banks and so on and so forth, but actually it's an existential problem for the euro system. So in that sense, what we debate, tirelessly every day about Greece and Portugal and Spain and so on, actually is much deeper than that. It's really about the structure of the euro system. But of course, for the United Kingdom and for your country, the issues are the same, and we may have different capacities to deal with it, but we're not going to be able to dodge the bullet. We're going to have to address this head on sooner or later, or the markets will for us.
One of the reasons that we asked you to come in, George, is that we, for the most part, and it's not only us, we're obsessed with the current fiscal situation in Greece and Spain and Portugal. I gather, though, that you think we're missing part of the picture.
I think we're missing it, and I think that the governments particularly are missing it. So, we often criticise, you see in the sort of newspaper reports and press reports about, the reforms don't go far enough, or, the Greeks or the Spaniards haven't really attempted to do this seriously. So what they're really basically saying is that, what they're trying to do is trying to tweak this on a year-to-year basis or over 2 or 3 years. But the real issue about liabilities of the state is not just, part of the banking crisis and the cost of fixing financial institutions, or indeed, the loss of tax revenues, important though they are. It's the future liabilities of the state in terms of unfunded pension, healthcare, and long-term care costs, which are really beginning to pile up now. So if you can't fix the short-term liabilities, for heaven's sakes, address the long-term liabilities, but that's a political issue.
On that front, though, does it really matter what any of these countries do in the near future? Isn't it really, talk of bailout, forget the moral hazard issue, isn't it really just like trying to stick your finger into the hole in a dike?
That's how it comes across. It needn't be like that. You could actually, the whole issue is about structural change. Can you basically reform, we would call it nowadays in modern parlance, reboot, the structure of the fiscal system and the structure of the economy to deal with what is essentially a structural problem. Some countries will do that. Some will lack the capacity to do that.
I only have a few more seconds, George, but would it matter to the bond markets if the ECB and the IMF were to act like Colin Powell, for example, and strike with overwhelming force, just flood the system with fiscal support?
It might help it temporarily, but actually the whole kind of idea about cheap credit from the ECB is what got Greece, Portugal and Spain into this problem in the first place. So this is a fiscal problem. A durable solution needs to be done on a fiscal basis.
Be a realist with me right here, right now. We've got about 20 seconds to go. How does this play end?
The chances of this ending prettily are very poor. I think restructuring is, the market is already pricing it. I think that's almost inevitably right.
All right, George, thank you very much. We've been speaking with George Magnus, Senior Advisor at UBS.